2 minutes till broadcast.
Welcome back into it, guys. Welcome. What's up? Getting everything all ready to rock and roll here for a midweek celebration. All right, here we go. Who's ready for another day? Are we ready for this? Are you really? Are you really? I know you are. It's okay. Okay, here we go. So coming up bottom of the hour, Joe Wolverton. He is an attorney, author, commentator, first time on the program. We're going to talk about the deep state. We're going to talk about false flags from the government. Say what? What should we look forward to with the fakeness coming out of Washington, D.C. and our own federal government, which is unfortunate that we have to even worry about that garbage, but nonetheless we do. So we'll talk about that at the bottom of the hour. We're going to go a little bit different direction on the show today.
Till broadcast.
I was going to go down debt ceiling conversations, and then I don't know how many people actually want to talk about finances today. So we're going to go a little bit different, although I have that on the back burner, so we may still do that at some point, but I don't know if we're going to do that right now. All right, guys, as we are getting up and going here, welcome aboard. Like it out, share it out, leave that comment, have some fun. Radio program starting momentarily.
30 seconds till broadcast.
Yeah. What's up, guys? Hi. Howdy. On all the platforms we're on multiples of them. I will try throughout the program to watch all of them as we go along. Hang tight.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Please.
Fighting for freedom every day.
Republicans right now, the conservatives, which unfortunately this is what we have to do every time, even after a vote where people are sick and tired of the establishment, they're sick and tired of the squeezy, middle-of-the-road, squishy kind of Republican rhinos, and we vote conservatives in, then we have to fight tooth and nail in D.C. to actually be heard within the Republican Party.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Darn right it is. Welcome into the Voice of Reason. It's a Wednesday, middle of the week, the greatest day of the entire week, which means we are moving right along. We are Carpe Diem-isms. I think how you say it, all over the place. Welcome into the program. Boy, we have a lot to talk about as usual, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas, our flagship radio station. We are all over the country, radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting, however you watch or listen. We love you to death. Your Millennial General reporting for duty as we do every day, the real day, the real us. I'm really here physically sitting in a radio studio doing this as we speak. This is not some alternate reality. This is not some virtual reality. I know it's starting to become more of a popular thing if you have your virtual reality headsets, and more of them apparently coming on the market, but this is real, man. The real life. Or is it real? Not to break your brain too terribly much, but is this really the Matrix? And we have to break out of this reality to see the real reality, which is beyond this Matrix, because maybe we're in a virtual reality headset right now, and we don't even know it because we've been in it for so long we've forgotten. Ooh, see? The mind-bending thoughts of the day. Some would question whether I live in Colorado right now, but by golly, we do not, so everything's all clean and ready to go for the day. Welcome into the show. Joe Wolverton, he is on the program, bottom of the hour. He's an attorney, he's an author, he's a commentator. We're going to talk about the deep state of federal government, the establishment, what they're doing, and the false flags of the government. What has the government done to distract us or to lead us astray or down a certain path for them to gain control, and what are they planning on doing moving forward into the future as well? We'll have some conversations with him about that in just a little bit. I'm not joking about the whole virtual reality thing, by the way. Apple is now launching their own VR headset. As you know, the big one is from Meta or from Facebook and the Oculus, and I will admit I have one of those at home. Some of it's neat. I played some games on there. I've had a few games. I don't play it a whole lot, and I honestly don't play it as much as I would have liked to or thought I would have when I purchased it originally. It's neat. Little Voice of Reason, enjoy some games on there, but after a while, I can't. The problem is half the games that I want to play on there are very difficult because when I play it, you have to walk around and do stuff, and when I walk around, I feel very ill. I get nauseous. I get almost like motion sickness because it's not me walking. It's the virtual reality thing walking. And the graphics are fine for the most part. I just get ill and I get a stomach ache and I feel really sick and my head starts. I can't do it. So there's limited games that I can actually play on the thing that I really enjoy. And there's a couple fun ones and then I just don't have time to play them anyways. So virtual reality, apparently, though, coming a big thing. And now Apple is set to launch their first virtual reality phone at the upcoming conference that they're set to attend. The CEO of Apple says that they're going to be announcing it at the annual developers conference, the WWDC, in June 5th with their new virtual headsets. Now, the reason I bring this up, I find it one kind of interesting just because the way technology is going and how much I despise technology personally. Could I have been born 1,000 years ago to where we just lived in like sand huts? I would have been much more happy than this all craziness that's going on in today's world. But as technology is growing and expanding, it's more convenient for us, which is cool, and that's how they play it off to the consumers. It's also really, really dangerous. And it's kind of weird. You know that when Elon Musk, who's like the head of technology right now, SpaceX and the Tweety and the Neuralink and everything, I mean, he's literally working to try and put brain chips into your brain, like electronic chips into your brain. And he's now coming out warning that we should maybe put a pause on artificial intelligence because it's advancing so quickly and so few individuals understand it or are working on this that we should probably put it on hold. According to One America's News Network, he's been advocating, along with some of the other top executives in the technology industry over the last week or so, have been advocating for companies to pause development of artificial intelligence to create some safety protocol, to understand it just a little bit more, and then to make sure that we're not creating a Terminator-like scenario, which apparently it just proves that Hollywood knew what they were talking about way before their time. Because if Elon Musk is advocating for that, then maybe we should listen, as more than 1,000 individuals, including Elon Musk, signed the letter calling for AI developers to, quote, immediately pause for at least 6 months the training of AI systems more powerful than GPT-4, which GPT-4 I don't know much about, although I do know that it goes in sync with like the Chat GPT. And if you don't know what that is, you can download certain chat things on your phone that can literally create conversations for you. There's a new South Park episode that came out poking fun at that one, to where the boys were texting their girlfriends and they weren't texting a whole lot, so they started using Chat GPT, and the girl would text and then they would put that into the chat app, and then it would create a lovely romantic response and they would send that. So it wasn't them writing it, it was the AI that was writing it. That's the level that we're at today. They can have it write essays. So if you're a parent, watch your children, because your children may not be writing essays themselves any longer, but using Chat GPT. That's a cause for concern. And this AI is going to continue to grow to at what extent? Now, again, I'm not anti-technology. I understand that's the direction we're going to go, but kind of an interesting conversation. And apparently it doesn't really matter because we're going to be all immortal in the next 8 years. According to another tech engineer from Google, who has apparently predicted the future with an 86% accuracy rate, says that humans will achieve immortality in the next 8 years. Whoa. I know, kind of an interesting take there. So I guess it's not going to matter, because even if Terminator does happen, we're going to have immortality, and then it will be the ongoing, ever indefinite battle between AI and the machines and the human beings that are now immortal, that we're probably like uploading our consciousness, or at least our memories. I don't think you can upload consciousness into a AI, but you can upload your memories for people to be like, oh, it's the same person, when it's really not. So interesting conversation for sure. The reason I bring all this up is because it kind of sets up the conversation for the day in our What's Trending story of the day.
What's trending today?
I can just see the wheels turning from some listeners like, Andy, what the hell are you talking about? What are you doing today? You're not making any sense. It's all right. The AI, the technology, the new drones that we have, the new AI robots where you see the videos of like the robot that's holding the gun that's going through the gun range as they're hitting it with logs and kicking it down, and it's still shooting with accuracy. Kind of a creepy, weird scenario, but is that the way our military is going? And if it is that a cause for concern or a potential threat to not just the United States, but humanity in general? Because right now we're training AI to do the bidding for us, while we have an extremely woke military doing some really stupid stuff right now that can't get anybody to actually sign up to be part of the military. Now, probably a lot of that is due to the report that we've mentioned the last couple of days of the military aged individuals between 17 to 24 years old having an 80% rate of ineligibility to sign up for the military due to mental health issues, due to obesity, and due to drugs or alcohol abuse from 17 to 24 years old. Those are the cause for concern. Then the military responds and says, well, we're going to lower the standards. Like usual, we're going to lower the standards for you to be eligible for the military. Then you at least have to get them to be enticed to want to join the military. It's a crazy world out there. But the woke military is probably one reason why some don't want to go. We have a head general, General Milley, and we had the Secretary of the Department of Defense, Lloyd Austin III, who have been testifying before Congress, talking about what's going on in the military. And just recently, Matt Gaetz, Congressman, as you know, one of the held up the Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy's vote, and who still refused to vote for him at the end of it, was on one of the committees questioning these two individuals, especially Secretary Lloyd Austin III, asking him about things that are going on in the military and why we have such a focus on a diversity, equity, and inclusion Department of Defense.
Going from the deeply serious things that we're not doing, re-engaging these 8,000 folks, to the deeply unserious things that we are doing. Go ahead and put up the first slide. I guess my question is, how much taxpayer money should go to fund drag queen story hours on military bases?
You know, drag queen story hours is not something that the department funds.
Well, wait a second. That's actually not what the record seems to suggest. You were going to fund one at Ramstein Air Force Base. That one got canceled, but that's DOD insignia. That's a drag queen story hour for children. Then also at Malmstrom Air Force Base outside of Great Falls, Montana, you had a drag queen story hour for kids. At the Joint Base Langley Eustis, you put on a drag queen story hour on a Saturday for the first ever kid-friendly diversity, equity, inclusion summer festival. And at Nellis Air Force Base, you had the Drag You Nellis on June 17th. Who funded these things, Mr. Secretary?
Listen, drag shows are not something that the Department of Defense supports or funds. So.
But wait, why are they happening on military bases? I just showed you the evidence. Why are they happening?
And?
I will say again, this is not something that we support or fund.
Again, that's Secretary of the Department of Defense, Lloyd Austin III, no, we're not funding drag queen story time for children on military bases. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just trying to wrap my head around this concept here. We have AI that's taking over our military, or potentially going to be taking over our military, instead of having individuals with a conscience and understanding of what's going on in the scenario be able to fight our fights and be able to defend our nation. And we have a woke military that is funding drag queen story times for children on military bases. And again, if it was just happening, there and people are just gathering to do it themselves is one thing, but having the DOD insignia on there from the Department of Diversity and Equity and Inclusion from the Department of Defense. Why do we even have a Department of Equity and Diversity and Inclusion from the Department of Defense when our literal mission for the military and for the Department of Defense is make sure the nation is safe and teach people how to kill bad guys? Like, I don't know what else there needs to be there. We need to train them to be killing machines. They need to be the Rambos of the world. We do not need to worry about equity or diversity or inclusion in the military. Anybody's welcome to join if you want to join, as long as you meet the certain standards that we have for you to be fit and be able-minded and be able to think on your feet and be physically active to go and stop the bad guy from causing harm. Period. End of story. And we're going to teach you some really cool ways to do it. I can kill a man with my pinky. Like that, that's the mentality they have to have. But instead, we're worried about equity and diversity and inclusion from the military. And this pompous guy, the Secretary Lloyd Austin III, that I have no clue whether he's even seen action or not as the head of the Department of Defense, is completely denying it. Even though it's happened all over the campuses and all over the country, we don't fund them. Really? Because we just showed you. Well, we don't fund them. I like Democrats to just stick to their story no matter what, man. No matter what. They refuse to change their minds. They refuse to actually acknowledge the real world. They put their blinders on, and they just continue on with their own mentality of the reality they've created for themselves, that alternate reality, their virtual reality that they've created for themselves, because they can't handle the truth of real reality. Let's listen to another one here, shall we? Because outside of that, we also have some wokeism coming out of the DOD as well through a number of tweets that were called out as well.
So I guess
Terrible.
why does the
Look at
well, why is that person
Like, you're not
so
going to get an
woke?
argument from me. That's terrible. It's wrong. She shouldn't be doing that. Period.
Should she be fired?
I don't. That's a DOD employee, not U.S. military uniform.
Okay. Should they be fired, Secretary Austin?
Again, as you heard in your subcommittee here, this incident was investigated, and
And they're
of course
still
this-
employed.
Still employed. We'll read the tweet when we come back here in just a minute as well. But that was General Millis and General Milley and the Secretary for the DOD. Both of them, like one's like, yeah, that's wrong. I can't fire them because they're part of the DOD, not uniformed military. Secretary, well, they've invested. That's been investigated. We've looked at it. We've looked at it, using air quotes. They're still employed, though. Well, yeah. We like racism, and we like division of equity and diversity and inclusion in the military.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Andy Hooser here, reminding you not only can you listen to the Voice of Reason on your favorite radio station, but also check out the video of the program on TV and online. We're excited to be working with our partners over at OpsLens to bring the Voice of Reason live every day on their website at opslens.com, on the OpsLens app that you can download on any of your smartphones, or on any of the OpsLens social media. It's a great network that broadcasts multiple shows promoting truth, reason, and common sense, reaching thousands of viewers every day, all day long. Plus, while you're there, you can always watch some of the best highlights of the show during the weekends or read our latest opinion columns on topical issues of the day. Also, if you want to interact with me during the program, just leave a comment on their social media or the OpsLens app stream. You can always join the live chat rooms, or if it's easier, just email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Again, that's HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. This is your show, and we want to hear from you. Why? Because it's time for you to be your own voice of reason in your own community. Looking for more reason? Well, now you can get even more content from the Voice of Reason through our Patreon site. It's your exclusive membership for being the ultimate Hoosier-holic. On our Patreon, you'll get additional interviews and content that we don't get to air on the radio, behind-the-scenes action from the Hooser Media Network, plus one-on-one video streams where you can catch up with me, guests of the show, and other great Voice of Reason supporters. Plus, you can also support the show by checking out our gear and swag. Find the link on our website at HooserReason.com. Again, that's HooserReason.com. Become the ultimate Hoosier-holic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network.
Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosier-holic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com.
For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hooser Media Network, visit us on the website at HooserReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network. Now, back to the show.
Fighting for freedom every day. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Welcome back into the program. 24 minutes past the hour. Radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting, however you watch, listen to the show. What's up? Welcome in. Happy middle of the week to you. So we have a woke military, which is just insanity. I don't know when, and maybe it's been going on for a while. I don't know. I did not join the military. I respect the hell out of everybody that does, and the fact that you have to deal with this schmuck that's actually the head of the military right now with our President of the United States, our Secretary of the Department of Defense. The main goal of that entire operation, which, by the way, should not be under discretionary funding because that's just stupid. That should be under the mandatory funding because it's actually a duty of the federal government. But when did it actually get woke? When did the military turn woke like this and start becoming the social experiment to start experimenting with just the wokeness? When did it turn from the we're going to train you to be a massive killing machine, meaning an actual human, not an actual AI machine, but an actual killing machine like a Rambo-styled guy, to, you know what, we need to create diversity, inclusion, equity in the military so we feel good about ourselves. I don't know if you saw or not, there was a campaign ad, I want to say about 8 months ago, and it was all over social media, of a Russian military ad showing the bruteness of the military soldiers, all the hell they were going through, all the training boot camp stuff that they were doing, the struggle, the pain, the crying, the running, the exhaustion, the screaming, the buffed out dude that's in the weight room just going crazy. And they were showing how strong their military was. And then they would show us where we had, ones that were trying to encourage LGBTQ members for joining the military, and they were mocking us. That's what the ad was doing. It was mocking us. A Russian military propaganda piece was mocking our U.S. military, which is pathetic. Now, it didn't age well because you can see how strong the Russian military is, unable to take over the country of Ukraine, probably with the billions of dollars from U.S. dollars that we've sent over there to, fight them off and hold them off. But nonetheless, it didn't age well, but the message was still out there, laughing, the world laughing at how the U.S. military is handling issues. Now, I'm not saying all the military is like that by any way, shape, or form. There are some amazing men and women in military uniform right now that are defending our nation. That's not what I'm trying to say here. What I'm trying to say is that it has been politicized to the nth degree through, again, the bureaucratic agencies and departments, where a Department of Defense isn't focused on securing the nation through training military, getting more recruits into the military, making sure our country's safe. But what they are doing are they're trying to work on the wokeness that's in the country and force it into our military to make it weak because we're not focused on priorities. Regardless of someone's LGBTQ, I don't care. Welcome to the party if you want to serve your nation. That's not the point. The point is we're not focused on the priorities that we're supposed to be. There was a book that was released from a Department of Defense individual, high up ranking, whatever, in the DOD, called What is White Privilege? There were tweets out there going after quote-unquote white privileged individuals or quote-unquote racists, claiming anyone is racist, and really if they're Republicans.
Can I get copies of those? Because I'd like to take a look at those myself, actually. Take a look and find out what actually is going on there. Because that's the first I'm hearing about that kind of stuff. I don't read those news stories. I don't know what you're talking about. I'd like to take a look at those because I don't agree with those.
Well, they're now in the
those
official
things
record.
Shouldn't be happening.
Thank you. Thank you for that admission.
That was General Milley, not even having a clue what's going on, which leads to another conversation. How much is the communication going on between the actual military and the Department of Defense on what the priorities are? Because it seems like there's a bit of a division between the bureaucrats and the DOD and the military trying to run military operations, and there's a disconnect on what their priorities have been and the lack of communication between the two. And you all know how things turn out when there's a lack of communication on two sides of an aisle. And that's sad. So, General Milley, I didn't even know about this stuff. I didn't know about the book from a guy or an individual who's working in the DOD. There's a tweet out there. We have drag queen shows going on for children at our bunkers and our military bases. I didn't know this stuff was going on. Could I see some of this stuff? I need to look into it a little bit. Secretary Austin, we're not doing it. Period. End of story. Just complete denial. Pulling the Hillary Clinton on us. It's a crazy world that we live in, which is maybe a good reason why we're starting to rely more on AI handling our military, because right now the leaders of our human military aren't quite up to par where they need to be. All right, Joe Wolverton, he'll be joining us right around the corner. We'll talk about some false flags from the government, the deep state. What are they focusing on, and how are they distracting us from some of the serious issues of the day? We'll do that when we come back here. Stay here on The Voice of Reason.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. You know, when I get off the air every day, the battle for me against limited government, censorship, and even unfactual content is far from over. That's why now I'm so happy to say that the Hooser Media Network is giving you more opportunity to catch the Voice of Reason along with other great shows and podcasts. It's been a long time in the works, and now you can finally enjoy more great content, services, and topical shows. We're the safe space for alternative talk, information, and ideas that the mainstream media absolutely hates, from holistic and alternative medicine, discussions on religion and spirituality, pure entertainment shows, and of course yours truly with the Voice of Reason. Plus, we offer numerous media services, including helping you set up your own podcast. Become your own Voice of Reason and bring your expertise to any fun issue or topic. For information on all of our shows, links to podcasts, each show website or social media link, or to find out about everything we do to challenge the mainstream establishment, visit our website at HooserMedia.com. Again, that's HooserMedia.com, the future of media. The Hooser Media Network continues to grow every single day with new shows, new content, and new information as we continue to fight the narrative against the mainstream and give you the alternative view of the world. The Hooser Media Network is home to great TV, radio, and podcasting programs on any topic of any interest, from politics and current events to religion and spirituality, holistic and alternative health, entertainment, motivational speakers, and so much more. And with the Hooser Media Network, you can enjoy great podcast programs like Safe Space with Cheyenne.
There is a show on Gaia, and it's called Galactic Messages, where they talk to the Tagetans out of the Pleiadian star system. There's a bunch of them in the Pleiadians, so they don't say they're Pleiades. They're Tagetans from the star system. And they were explaining how karma has been rewritten to work against us. So they're like, yes, if you do something, it sends out like that negative vibration. You do have to, like, it's kind of a boomerang you send out, it'll come back, and you need to make it right. But in order to make it right, you have to understand what you did. You have to forgive yourself, and then moving on, you don't do that again. So yeah, I'm not saying if like I killed someone in this life that I don't automatically have to come back and figure it out in another lifetime. But there's a lot of karma that people in the human race are holding on to because they either do it from a religious standpoint and then go continue to do it, and then just, you know, it's some weird cycle they're putting themselves in. So I, from a very humble and humility standpoint, have been like, guys, there's no way we're coming back, right? Like, we're doing the right things now. We have the rest of our life to dedicate to the good and to the light work and, you know, servicing humanity, so to speak. I'm like, but I barely made it through my 20s. So like, let's talk about what other dimensions I can go float around on, or maybe I can go just make sacred geometry and the 8 or 12 for a while. Like, I don't want to act very cocky when I say this is my last incarnation, but I really do feel that this is my last earthly incarnation. And I sleep well at, you know.
There's ego attached to that. I think there's a deep sense of knowing. First of all, I would like to submit that Earth is probably one of the greatest universities, spiritual universities in the galaxy. So when people say, what are you talking about? Earth is a prison, Earth is this, and Earth is an extraordinary opportunity to take a giant leap on your spiritual path, because it is a great and higher education. It's a university for your spirit, for your soul to confront itself. And if you learn in this lifetime, not that you've made good or bad karma, because you didn't mention good karma, right? But not that you have to pay for your karma, not that you have to, that karma can, I mean, what you said doesn't exactly resonate with me. I believe that the idea of karma is this beautiful measure from which you can direct yourself to what you perceive as good or bad or right or wrong or ethical and moral, by not thinking, if I do this, I'm going to create bad karma, but just recognizing that you are in the end the master of your destiny, even if you perceive of a higher being, which of course I do, beyond your own being, because you are a creature you are a creature, let's say, of God. I like to refer to God as prime creator. Still, you have a framework where you are, like people say, well, let's just hope the universe handles it. And I always say, well, let's give the universe some help, because we are free will individuals still, and we came here to exercise that capacity to choose between the poles, the polar realities of good, bad, light, dark, etc. So if you're just going to sit back and say, well, let's wait for the universe to handle it, you're in passive mode, and I don't understand what you're doing here.
Listen to all these programs and so much more as we try to bring back knowledge, wisdom, and truth back into the world. And we do that right here with the Hooser Media Network, the future of media.
When Reason Meets Radio. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Darn right it is. Welcome back in on the home stretch here. Boy, the show goes by so fast, man. We need so much more time. We could dive into these issues so much more, but we have limited time, so we'll do the best that we possibly can. Welcome in radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting, trying to cram that 10 pounds of reason into that 5-pound bag, trying to rebrand the millennial generation on all of our great radio stations all over the place. More coming on here as well. Real quick, there's the headline about the banks failing. Breitbart News, major banking crisis continues to loom as nearly 200 more banks could potentially collapse. Now, so funny, man. Isn't that what we called? Did we not call that in some way, shape, or form? As soon as the first one failed, like, oh, we're going to bail these guys out. Obviously, the Silicon Valley Bank needs to be bailed out because they're the important ones. They're all the tech industry investors and government and woke stuff that they do. And we need to bail those guys out. We need to increase the FDIC insurance with the amount of money that was in an account. The small guys, to hell with you. You can go ahead and close because it allows us to centralize the banking system even more so at the federal level. Real quickly, is I don't like to do I told you so segments, but yesterday we were talking about the shooting that happened in Nashville, and I had made the claim that it's the conversation on this issue was going to steer away from the gun issue eventually. Didn't know it was going to take this short amount of time, but eventually it was going to steer itself away from the gun issue and focus on the transgender issue from the left side of the aisle. As the headline for the New York Post, someone tagged me in this one, appreciate for you tagging me on this. Shooter Audrey Hale's parents couldn't accept their daughter's trans identity. There it is. We knew it. It was going to happen at some point. The reason why there are shootings from transgender individuals, especially with one like this, where it was at a private Christian school that she had attended as a child, was because she's a victim. She was bullied. It was all the right-wing Christian bigoted faults, and therefore it's justified for the actions. They don't like the guns. Got to take away the guns, but it's justified because she was bullied, she was abused, she was isolated, and now she wasn't even accepted by her own parents, and therefore the abuse of the LGBTQ and trans community is justifiable on why they're reacting and causing mass shootings across the nation. So we shouldn't be punishing or focusing on why, because we already know why. Because there's a whole bunch of hateful, bigoted individuals that are that's creating these monsters in society. That's the narrative, and it's already starting. I just didn't think it would happen this soon. Good golly. Let's get into our What's Trending. What do you say?
What's trending today?
I'll shift gears slightly, but still kind of on the same flavor as well. What is the government doing to keep you distracted from some of the real issues going on in the world or in the country right now? Are there things that are happening that allow them to be like, oh no, totally didn't see that happening. Here's the solution. We already got it prepared for you. And by the way, that solution includes more government control to where we can centralize more power with us, which we see almost on a daily basis. What's going on and how are they deceiving the general public. To talk about this and a heck of a lot more, really excited to have on the program. He's an attorney, author, conservative commentator, and contributor to The New American. Excited to have on here Mr. Joe Wolverton. Joe, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing so good. How are you doing?
Hey, living the dream. It's sad because we're in an age right now where I don't think there's a vast number of individuals across the nation that I don't think trust a word coming out of the federal government in any way, shape, or form, and that's kind of scary and sad all at the same time, isn't it?
Yeah, I think those people should apply for Mensa because I think they're geniuses. I don't think there's any, it's one of those, what's that Ronald Reagan was famous for, trust but verify. If you, set the default as you trust the government, then you obviously didn't pay attention in history class because there is really no reason, every time you try to verify something the government says, you find out that not only is that thing not true, but it's probably the opposite of the truth. And they've created both sides of the argument in order to confuse you and in order to put you in a position where you're begging for salvation, and they're just like you said, they're ready to offer the solution to the problem they created.
The biggest example I can think of right off the top of my head would be like Obamacare, where they were saying the healthcare industry is failing. It's a disaster. We need to fix it. And the disaster, by the way, was created by them regulating the pharmaceutical industry, regulating already the insurance industry to where the prices were getting higher. They were getting more expensive. And the more control and oversight they were having on the issues, the worse it was getting. And then they said, oh, there's an issue here. Look at the disaster of our healthcare. We need more government to solve it. We just need to consume a sixth of the entire U.S. economy. And then voila, look what happened. Now they control over a sixth of the entire U.S. economy that is the healthcare industry. And it's worse than it's ever been before.
Yeah, I mean, they created that issue. It's regulation in any form is contrary to the free market. And so, it's like I don't know if you know my friend Walter Block, the economist. He's like, if it's not nailed down, privatize it. If it's nailed down, privatize it. And that's the best way to get to a true free market. I was just talking to someone the other day because they were having some health issues and telling me about their medical bills, and I told them, so much of that would not be the case if we didn't allow nanny government to stand between us and what's good for us.
Yeah.
If we didn't allow that regulation on such a hyper level when it comes to medical care, that we wouldn't see that sort of thing. And, doctors wouldn't, when you get your bill and you see if you pay cash, it's $9,000, and if you pay through insurance, it's $30,000. Well, that right there tells you all you need to know about the federal government's role in the cost of health care in America.
It is concerning. What kind of false flags are we seeing right now? Is the banking failures, the whole Silicon Valley Bank and all these banks that are failing, is this another one of these false flags to allow them to consume more of the banking industry right now?
I think it's one of those things, it's like very Keynesian in the sense that, in Keynesian economics, you want to give, you print money and you get the government deeper in debt so that you can appear to be prosperous. And if you appear prosperous, then the people will assume we really are prosperous, and then the economy really will grow, which is, nonsensical. And I don't think the banking issue is necessarily a false flag, but the government never let there be a tragedy that wasn't a pretext for tyranny.
Yeah.
It's like that's the most historical. That's tyranny for dummies. Chapter 1 is, never let a tragedy go to waste.
Yeah.
And so I don't think it's a false flag, but I do think it's one of those things that they will manipulate the message in order to convince people of a certain crisis that doesn't exist, and then they will stand there and present a cure that is much worse than the disease.
Well, then on the other hand, we see the budget proposal from Joe Biden where he's advocating for more social spending, a larger budget overall. Well, he says he's trying to cut trillions of dollars in deficit and debts, which is not the case. He's just not spending as much during a COVID-19 relief period. But he's presenting all this stuff at a time when the dollar's on the way down right now. We've already capped out at our debt ceiling for the entire year. Inflation's still high, even with, 7 different interest rate hikes we've seen from the Federal Reserve. When are we going to get on track here? And what type of BS are they trying to, claim to us when they're saying we're not in a recession, everything's going great with the economy, let's go ahead and spend more money?
Well, it's, people are going to believe things until they have a reason not to. And the government will continue to push these. It's the Declaration of Independence, man. They are destroying our life, liberty, and prosperity. And they're going to continue to do that until the people either accept this as the way it always has been, which is true, or the people get to a place where they want to, alter or abolish the government. Yeah. And we're getting to that place. And so right now, as those who manage the government, and let's not, exalt Joe Biden to the role of actual manager, but those who manage the government see that the people don't really put up a fight. I mean, the people might shake their fist on Facebook or something like that, but there's really no resistance to any of the regime's attempts to impoverish us. So I don't know what would encourage, what would compel the regime to stop doing what they're doing. Nothing would. Yeah. And so it's like Montesquieu said, power will push limits until it feels something pushing back against it. And right now, they don't feel anything pushing back against them.
When was the last time, do you think, that we've actually pushed back against the government intrusion? I saw a little bit of a spark during the COVID-19 pandemic when we started mandating vaccinations. And as soon as we started pushing back on that is when they're like, well, okay, you guys can go back to normal now, start going to jobs, and you don't have to. And then we started seeing the repealing of the vaccine. But was that enough, or was that already too gone during the pandemic? But when was the last time we actually saw us really push back against the government and flat out tell them no?
1776. I mean, seriously, we've got such a record. It's like I tell people when I go and I give these speeches on the Constitution that on the tombstone of the Constitution are going to be 3 words: "No state shall," from the 14th Amendment, which completely turned the constitutional structure on its head and made the federal government dictate to the states instead of how it was intended, the states dictate to the federal government. So when did we push back? I mean, I guess you can say, 1861, but that got shut down. And so we, Chapter 2 of Tyranny for Dummies is get control of the education. If you teach someone something as early as, 4 or 5 years old and continually teach them something until they're 18, they're going to believe that thing. And so we've got generation now, about 5 generations of people that have lived in a country where the curriculum in schools, if not completely mandated, is at least manipulated by federal educrats who are intent on keeping us stupid so that we might be pliable slaves. Yeah. And so who's going to argue against it? Who's going to push back against something that they think is just, well, that's just how it is. Sometimes it's this way and sometimes it's that way. And, this sort of ignorance.
Just kind of go with it. Yeah. Joe, hold that thought. Yeah, we're going to take a hard break here. Hold that thought. I want to continue it when we come back. It's Joel Wolverton with thenewamerican.com. We'll continue that when we come back here. Really interesting stuff. Stay right here on The Voice of Reason.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Andy Hooser here, reminding you not only can you listen to The Voice of Reason on your favorite radio station, but also check out the video of the program on TV and online. We're excited to be working with our partners over at OpsLens to bring The Voice of Reason live every day on their website at opslens.com, on the OpsLens app that you can download on any of your smartphones, or on any of the OpsLens social media. It's a great network that broadcasts multiple shows promoting truth, reason, and common sense, reaching thousands of viewers every day, all day long. Plus, while you're there, you can always watch some of the best highlights of the show during the weekends or read our latest opinion columns on topical issues of the day. Also, if you want to interact with me during the program, just leave a comment on their social media or the OpsLens app stream. You can always join the live chat rooms, or if it's easier, just email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Again, that's HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. This is your show, and we want to hear from you. Why? Because it's time for you to be your own voice of reason in your own community. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. You want some more reason throughout the day? Well, now it's easier than ever to find. Here's what you do. Check out the website at HooserReason.com. There you can find past shows, links to all of our social media, special features, our monthly blogs, and a heck of a lot more. Plus, make sure to check in frequently as we're constantly working to add more goodies that you'll really enjoy. Also, you can always subscribe and follow our social media sites for bonus content, articles that we use on the show, or maybe some additional rants. Yeah, it's all that and so much more. Check it all out at HooserReason.com. Looking for more reason? Well, now you can get even more content from The Voice of Reason through our Patreon site. It's your exclusive membership for being the ultimate Hoosier-holic. On our Patreon, you'll get additional interviews and content that we don't get to air on the radio, behind-the-scenes action from the Hoosier Media Network, plus one-on-one video streams where you can catch up with me, guests of the show, and other great Voice of Reason supporters. Plus, you can also support the show by checking out our gear and swag. Find the link on our website at HooserReason.com. Again, that's HooserReason.com. Become the ultimate Hoosier-holic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. As we continue to grow as a radio and TV program, we're continuously working behind the scenes to try and bring more common sense and reason to more patriotic Americans all over the country. That's why we're super excited to be working with the OpsLens team to bring you the Voice of Reason every single day. OpsLens is a national online network bringing you incredible content all day from hosts all over the country. And each host brings their own unique experience and expertise to the current events, reaching hundreds of thousands of patriotic Americans daily. Make sure to check out their website at opslens.com. Make sure to download the OpsLens website and follow them on all of these social media sites that you like, so you can watch all their live streaming content, including ours right here with The Voice of Reason. Plus, if you want more of The Voice of Reason, check out our website online at HooserReason.com. There you can listen to the live audio feed of the show every single day. You can read our monthly blog. You can check out our satire infomercials. You can see pictures of what we're doing, upcoming schedule of events, and a heck of a lot more. On the website, you can find our list of radio and TV affiliates in your area. Find our social media links, and while you're there, sign up for our free newsletter. Over the last 2 years, your Voice of Reason newsletter has grown exponentially. It's completely free, and in it we give you your monthly motivation, upcoming civic holidays for the month, a recap from the show from last month, upcoming guests on the program, along with the latest news from our Hoosier Media Network. It's pretty simple. All you got to do is go to the website at HooserReason.com and become the next Hoosier-holic. Finally, follow us on all of our social media sites. With the iron grip control on content from the radical left, unless you follow us, you're not going to be able to see us. It's been an ongoing battle with shadow banning on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, where even our own fans are having a hard time finding our content. But the battle isn't over. We'll continue to bring you the best content we can on as many platforms as possible. You can follow us with the handle at Hoosier Reason. No matter what social media site you like to use, you can find us there. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch.tv, Instagram, TikTok, ourfreedombook.com, Parler, and of course our website at HooserReason.com. Don't miss it while we give you a heads up on some of the events that I may be attending or speaking at, updates of behind-the-scene projects, or just something sarcastic to try and rile up the left. The battle for freedom is real, and we want to be part of that battle, as we want you to be your own voice of reason in your own community. Conservative principles happen at the grassroots level, and that's what we're here to help with. And together, you and I can fight back against this virus that's spreading across the nation that is socialist policy, trying to destroy this country. We can bring us back to some constitutional values, some individual sovereignty, and the right for you to be able to make your own choices when you deem necessary for you, your family, and your community. In a world of fake news and information overload, it's time to bring back some reason, common sense, guidance, and a little bit of wisdom. And that's what we're here to do. This is the Voice of Reason.
Fighting for freedom every day. The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
All right, editors, welcome back into the program. Just a few minutes left here of the show as we wrap up another one for a midweek celebration. Interesting conversation we're having indeed. Joe Wolverton, The New American, thenewamerican.com. Can see his pieces there. He's an attorney, author, conservative commentator. As we talk about the deep state, we talk about the agenda from the government deceiving the general public, which, Joe, you mentioned that, the education system has been a focal point for them to try and dumb down, let people not understand what's going on, try to re-educate them into wanting more government. It's weird. We live in an information overload, an information wave state where we have so much content thrown at us every day with newspapers and blogs and radio and TV and articles online and social media. You could find any information you want to anywhere in the world at any time at your fingertips. But yet, at the same time, it almost seems like we have so many sheep out there just blindly following, like you said, not a big deal, a little angry at first, but really not going to do anything about it, just going to go with the flow because they tell me to, that it almost seems like in the information wave, we're going into another dark age with the lack of understanding about the real world right now.
Yeah, I think that's the truth. We have, lots of information, but very little understanding. And I think that again, that's a consequence of allowing the government to manipulate and manage education now for, 100 years. That we're taught, there's a famous Welsh preacher that was very influential on the founding fathers named Richard Price, and he would say that, the point of education is to enlarge your mind and to teach someone how to think, not what to think. But education today is meant to really contract your mind to make it think in only one track, that only one way is the right way, that way is historically proven. See, look at your history book. It's in the history books. It's true. It's the way. This is the way it's always been. This is the way it should be. And you're taught what to think, not how to think. And so when these issues come up, there's the permitted responses. We have been trained for so long that there is a limited spectrum of allowed responses, and so we perform one of those sort of accepted opposition, right? We do whatever we're told we're allowed to do in opposition, but then when it comes down to it, we just have to accept whatever has happened as well. Well, that's the law, or well, he's in charge, or that sort of thing. And so when we have things that really irk us, that really strike us as wrong, our reaction, if you had can you imagine asking, Samuel Adams to register his firearm? They'd be registering you at the coroner's office.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no, but we just accept that as normal. I wrote an article yesterday about how even conservatives accept as almost a good thing the existence of concealed carry permits. And I'm like, permit? We shouldn't have to ask our servant government for permission to arm ourselves, defend ourselves, which is a right that we inherit as children of God.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be asking their permission. And then when they give it to us, being ever so grateful that the crown permitted us, to carry a weapon. It's like, what are we doing? But we've come to accept that, right? We've come to accept it, and that's, and it's not accidental, Andy. This is the government purposefully pushing a narrative that is pro-government, that is anti-resistance, right? They want to show that resistance, they don't even go as far as say resistance is futile. They say that resistance is un-American. Resistance shows that you don't love your country. Right. Whereas there's nothing more American than resistance to power.
Well, resistance and questioning and fighting for our individual sovereignty. Yeah, there's not a single thing, and I ask this question all the time on the air, there's not a single thing out there right now on a daily basis that we're allowed to do that's not taxed, regulated, or you have to purchase a license or apply to it in order for you to actually get it. From buying clothes to food to driving your car, everything is regulated. There's not a single quote-unquote actual freedom out there. And we've allowed it because, like you said, the conditioning, the training, and the complacency of where we're at with not understanding how to actually take that power back. Joe, we're out of time, my friend. I could talk to you about this forever. It's a great conversation. Joe Wolverton, thenewamerican.com. Go and check it out. Joe, let's do it again soon, brother. What do you say?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Anytime.
Hey, love it. Appreciate it very much. All right, we're back at it again tomorrow. Congressman Bob Latta from the 5th District of Ohio. We'll chat with him. What's going on in D.C., the TikTok ban, some other issues as well, and get his thoughts on that. Until then, be your own voice of reason. This is The Voice of Reason. I'm Andy Hooser. Have a great Wednesday. We'll see you on the radio. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. You know, when I get off the air every day, the battle for me against limited government, censorship, and even unfactual content is far from over. That's why now I'm so happy to say that the Hooser Media Network is giving you more opportunity to catch the voice of reason along with other great shows and podcasts. It's been a long time in the works, and now you can finally enjoy more great content, services, and topical shows. We're the safe space for alternative talk, information, and ideas that the mainstream media absolutely hates. From holistic and alternative medicine, discussions on religion and spirituality, pure entertainment shows, and of course yours truly with the voice of reason. Plus, we offer numerous media services, including helping you set up your own podcast. Become your own voice of reason and bring your expertise to any fun issue or topic. For information on all of our shows, links to podcasts, each show website or social media link, or to find out about everything we do to challenge the mainstream establishment, visit our website at HooserMedia.com. Again, that's HooserMedia.com, the future of media.